before I make a new mold, I decided to make a new model because I think I can do better than the one that I've been using up till now. This is the bigger of two speaker shells for a prototype speaker that we're making. So after routering off the top of a half sphere, it's a really nice cut, a nice clean hole. And the opening goes straight down because of the way it was routed. And that'll be really helpful when fitting this flange into the speaker. This is the flange that actually holds the driver part of the speaker. So after molding it in a silicone mold, there's just a little bit of sanding to get the outside to fit that hole perfectly. And I test fit it and sand it and test fit it and sand it a few times until it fits just right. And now I can glue those two parts together. And I'm using some gel coat in case any of this leaks out through the opening where the two met. It would be white and match the rest of it. And this is sanding the back of it flat and cutting out the middle. And then I'm going to use this drill press with a cylindrical sander on it to sand off the flash. So this is those three parts: the flange, the upper half hemisphere, and the bottom hemisphere, all taped together, and the upper two are glued together already. And now I'm going to glue together the seam between the bottom hemisphere and the upper half of the speaker shell. And I'm just using some thickened resin with a bunch of chopped fibers in it. And I spread that around the inside of the equator. And that'll be enough to glue the two halves together. And after sanding the equator down a bit, I'm going all over it with more gel coat. And then I'm going to sand that with 80 grit at first to smooth it out, and then go down through the grits until I finally polish it really shiny. And I found an even larger transparent Christmas tree ornament that seems to be just about the perfect size to make the mold box for this. And I'm filling the inside with blocks of clay so that it doesn't float when I pour the silicone in. And here it is, ready to pour the top half of the mold. And this little channel here is meant to make a little silicone wall that protrudes inside so that flange can be cast full thickness without the resin going over the edge. That did not go well. And quite a while has passed since the first half of this video was recorded. I did pour the second half of the mold. And then I took the shell off and tried to stretch it to release the original model. And in this case, with everything scaled up, the mold rubber is probably 3/4 of an inch thick, and it would not stretch enough. And making it thinner in such a large piece would be getting too floppy. It really didn't work the way these smaller ones did, which were so beautiful, and they would just stretch to release the part, but that's because the silicone here at the top is not a whole lot more than 1/4 of an inch, at least at the thinnest spot, and the sides probably no more than 1/2 of an inch, and even that, it takes a lot of strength to stretch it enough to release the part. So scaling up really doesn't work out well. To make, I'd have to make my own shell, for one thing, because I thought I got lucky and found this thing that was almost the right size, but I would need something a little bit thinner so that the silicone is only 1/4 of an inch. And there's actually a better way to do that. And that's by brushing the silicone onto the part in layers, each layer building up maybe 1/16 of an inch, and winding up with a layer that's probably 1/4 of an inch ideally, not much more than that, that's been brushed over the part in layers. And you add key features so that when you make a shell a hard shell over the outside of it, this is my first attempt at that kind of mold. It'll force the inner mold to lock into the outer shell the same way every time, and hopefully reproduce the shape accurately enough for what I need to do. So I haven't opened the shell yet, or tried to get the model out of the rubber part of the mold. So next time I'll show you how I made this mold, and I'll break the shell open and try to get the original model out, and then maybe even try to make a new part in the mold if I've got a good mold. I expect a lot of problems because this is my first attempt to make a mold like this, and I'll probably learn a lot from this one and make another mold that will hopefully wind up being more like what I want.